There's some really bad things that people do, like taking the last cookie out of the cookie jar. Now that's pretty devious. And then slightly worse, you have things like robbing a bank or infidelity. But even worse than all of these things is a person who's passionate about retro video games, carving a few minutes out of their day to be able to actually play those games. Now there's something to feel guilty about. I mean, just the thought of a person doing such a thing is enough to make you sick. The overwhelming response from all of you to last week's video, "Does being an adult suck?" was yes, it does, which is unfortunate seeing as a lot of us are adults. And when it came to the specific issues you had, one thing I saw getting mentioned over and over again was that a lot of you, when you do finally get to actually play video games, you tend to feel guilty about it. So what the heck is going on here? I mean, everybody's entitled to have some fun, aren't they? Nobody would disagree with that. Well, sure, in theory that sounds great, but in reality, when you go to sit down to play some video games, immediately you might start thinking about all those other things that you either need to do or ought to do because that stupid adult brain of yours just can't give it a rest. As a kid, you'd rush on home after school and fire up that game console no problem, and you'd think, yeah, that homework of mine can eat my buns because I'm on World 4 of Super Mario Bros. 3, and that is the top priority right now. Meanwhile, the adult you is sitting there on the couch with the game controller in your hand in the dead of the night with nothing going on, and yet still you think to yourself, well, you know, the dishwasher needs to be unloaded, and sure, I don't have to do it now, but if I don't do it now, it's just going to be waiting there for me in the morning, so might as well do it now. Game over. And don't even get me started on the laundry. You know how there's a theory that there's a sock fairy that takes one of your socks so you no longer have a matching pair? Well, I think the sock fairy takes entire pairs of socks. I swear, sometimes I wash what feels like 20 pairs of socks, and yet 3 nights later, there's no more clean socks. Where did they all go? Time to do another load of laundry. To get comfortable playing video games and not feel guilty about it, you gotta get used to the fact that there's always going to be other things you either should be doing or could be doing. But here's the thing, playing video games are also something that you should be doing. And here's why. What's the point of life if you can't do the things that you enjoy? Not everybody needs to scale mountains or climb up trees to get that magical feeling that makes you feel good. And that's the thing, playing video games makes you feel good, and by gosh darn it, that's worth something. And remember, the argument isn't that you should be doing nothing but play video games. It's just that playing video games is one of many things that you do among all the other responsibilities that you have. But here's a curveball for you. What if you feel guilty while you're playing video games because there's other fun things that you also want to do? Our old arch nemesis, time. If only there was enough time to do all the things we want to do. I mean, it's hard enough just to find enough time to play video games as much as we want to. All these games we have that would be really enjoyable to play, not to mention the occasional weird night where you feel like playing something like Spanky's Quest. So finding time for all the other fun things that you like to do just adds to the challenge. Now, I suppose if video games are the only thing you enjoy doing, then problem solved, but for a lot of us, we like doing all sorts of other things, whether it's going on picnics, going to the beach, shooting hoops, playing basketball, super soakers. There's all sorts of things we enjoy doing that are all vying for our free time. But even within your gaming life, you can still feel guilty playing a game because you're not playing one of your other games. I mean, some people's backlogs absolutely terrorize them. Ever had a nightmare that you never actually played A Link to the Past? Well, I have, and let me tell you, it was just a whole bunch of people dressed dressed like Link laughing at me. Not a nightmare I want to have again. And here's the thing, I've actually played A Link to the Past before, multiple times. Then there's the times you feel guilty for playing games because you feel like you're forcing yourself to. You think, this is my chance to play. I gotta do it now. But because you're either physically exhausted, mentally exhausted, or hey, maybe even both, you just don't have it in you to actually play the game. And you know, I actually think this is a big reason why a lot of us will default to something like researching, looking at games online instead of actually playing them, just because it's a lot less energy intensive than something like getting your butt smacked around by Battletoads. In fact, quick little story for you. So one night I'm playing Battletoads and I start playing around midnight, pretty late. So I'm playing along and I can't remember exactly which stage I had gotten to, but next thing I know, I'm opening up my eyes and I hear bam, 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 bam. Yeah, I had fallen asleep and gotten a game over, so when I woke up, I was back at the menu screen listening to the theme song. So, moral of the story is, don't play Battletoads late at night. Some would say don't play it at all, but definitely don't play it late at night. Alright, but that's about all I have to say, and now it's time to hear from all of you. So, my question for this video is, do you feel guilty when playing video games, and how bad of a problem is it? And also, has having had this discussion made you feel at all more optimistic that going forward, perhaps you won't feel as guilty when you play video games? I would really hope that for at least some of you that could be the case. So be sure to leave your responses down below, and I will see ya in the next video.
He's the Retro, yeah, and he's talking about video games. He's the Retro, oh yes, and he hopes that you like